Hi friends, welcome to our Identity series. This is a 10-part video series on what it looks like to live secure in our identity in Jesus Christ. What does it look like to live believing the truth and not the lies? What does it look like to know you're in right standing with God every day, no matter what? I want to encourage you to subscribe to this YouTube channel because that way you will not miss out on any videos in our 10-part series. Now, here's another episode of our Identity series. Hope you enjoy it. Hi friends, we're continuing our video series on identity. Today we're looking at the subject of living from our identity versus living for our identity. Living from our identity versus living for our identity. You know, for many people, they're living to seek, to search for, to labor after their identity. I would say some are even sadly striving for their identity. You know, you can actually spend a whole lot of your life searching for the truth of who you really are. Who am I really? Who am I created to be? Who was I designed to be? And sadly, many people find themselves on a burdensome search for who they are, for what their identity actually is. And I suggest to you that that's actually a place of frustration. It's an unending search even that will go on and on and on. Because for many people, they're searching, and they try one thing, and they try another thing, they try another place here, another place here, another role here, another role there, and the search goes on and on for identity. And that person, I would say, is in a bit of a cycle that's an unhelpful and a disappointing and a laborsome cycle of searching for their identity. And you know, we can actually unknowingly perform for approval and affirmation. We can spend our lives actually performing or seeking to reach a standard of approval and affirmation, and that just continues to go on and on. Maybe it's in sport, maybe it's in academics, maybe it's being the funniest person in the family, but we can actually just continuously perform for affirmation and approval. And you know, if there's one thing I've learned in my short time on the earth, is that the opinions of people are like the tide of the ocean. They just come and they go. They go in, they come in, and they go out. The opinions of people are entirely unstable, unreliable. They go in, they come in, and they go out. You know, talk to any politician about that. But the truth is there's a rest when we actually live from our identity. There's such a place of peace, such a place of rest when we actually learn to live from our identity. And what we've already covered in the first two videos is the fact that God, in the beginning, when He formed us, when He created us, designed us, looked at us and said, "You are of my image and you are in my likeness and you are very good." And when we actually live from that identity that God has given us, there's a rest there, there's a peace. The search is over. We're done. We don't need to continue searching any longer. You know, I would say that the world system says, "Come to me and perform for me." But Jesus says, "Come to me and I will give you rest." I want to say that again. The world says, "Come to me and perform for me." Jesus says, "Come to me and I will give you rest." From that place, we don't have any more identity confusion. When we come to Jesus, we find a rest in who He says we are. We are in His likeness, we are very good, and we are loved. The search is over, there's a place of rest there. You know, one particular time I visited a zoo in Australia, and I was having a good time there with some friends, and then I came across a crazy circumstance, a crazy product of events. And what the zoo had done is actually crossbred a lion and a tiger. Can you believe that? They've taken one lion and one tiger, they've crossbred, and they've produced an animal called a tigon. They've completely invented this animal. And I was absolutely stunned. I just want to say the animal was pretty ugly actually. And this tigon, as they were calling it, was just sitting there all alone. And I started to ask questions like, isn't this tigon going to have enormous identity confusion? Isn't this tiger going to be completely confused about how to behave, what to eat, how to hunt, how to carry out, social, how to be social with other animals? And I started to think about, hang on, isn't a lion spends a lot of time in a pride, in a group of lions, whereas a tiger is a solitary animal. They hunt alone. Is this tiger going to be thinking, I need to be with a pride, or is this tiger going to be thinking, I'm better off alone? I mean, talk about enormous identity confusion. Talk about probably spending the animal's entire life searching for its identity. Friends, we don't have to be on that search. We don't have to have that confusion. We can come to Jesus and find out who we really are. And when we find out the truth of who we are, we can actually live from that identity. We don't have to live for identity, but we can live from that identity. And the person that is living from their identity, I'd like to suggest to you, is completely free. They are in liberty. The person that's living from their identity is in a place of freedom. They're in a place of rest. They're in a place of peace. And we can find fulfillment in that, I believe. And I want to finish with this thought that, as I said, the opinions of people, like the tide of the ocean, their approval and their affirmation is changing all the time. But God's opinion of us and His love for us is never changing. God is the same yesterday, today, and forever. Jesus, His opinion over us and His love for us is never changing.